A 58mm gold-plated Invicta dive watch currently sits inside a department store display case. It has a weight close to half a pound. Its price is roughly $90. When a man older than 60 puts it on with a dress shirt, it draws attention from everyone in the room, not because it appears luxurious, but because it instantly signals, without ambiguity, that the wearer has no understanding of what he's doing. A wristwatch is not decoration. It is not a piece of tech. After 60, it becomes a judgment. It communicates to others whether you understand restraint, whether substance matters more than appearance, and whether decades of life actually taught you anything about quality. The men who get this wrong most visibly tend to wear one of these 5 watch types. These are the 5 watches that quietly erode credibility after 60. Then there are 5 that build respect before you even speak. First on the avoid list is the Oversized gold tone diver. Walk through any mall jewelry counter in the United States and you will see them arranged in velvet trays. Gold-coated dive-style watches with cases measuring 48, 50, sometimes even 58 millimeters across. Invicta shows up most often, though it is not the only brand doing it. These watches sell for about $60 to $200 and look exactly like their price suggests. The gold coating is extremely thin. Within 3 to 6 months of regular wear, it begins to fade at the edges, revealing dull base metal underneath. The larger issue is case size. A 50mm case was originally built for wrists measuring 7.5 inches or more. Most men over 60 are closer to 6.5 inches, sometimes less. The watch extends beyond the wrist on both sides. The lugs hang off the edge. The result looks like a dinner plate strapped to the arm. The deeper issue is what gold plating signals. True gold watches from reputable manufacturers use solid 18-karat gold or proprietary alloys such as Rolex Everose or Omega Sedna gold. Those pieces cost tens of thousands because the raw material alone is worth significant money. A $90 gold-plated watch is not a budget luxury item. It is a costume piece. And after 60, costumes convince no one. They only create discomfort. Second are fashion brand watches. This group includes Diesel, MVMT, Michael Kors, Armani Exchange, and Hugo Boss. These pieces typically sell between $100 and $400 and share the same core reality. The internal movements, the actual engines of the watch, are mass-produced quartz calibers sourced from factories in Shenzhen or Tokyo. These movements cost roughly $3 to $8 each for manufacturers. The same mechanism inside a $300 Michael Kors chronograph is functionally identical to what you would find in a $25 Casio at a gas station. What you are paying for is branding and advertising, not engineering. That is the entire exchange. These watches are assembled in China, shipped globally, and marked up heavily in ways that would be unacceptable in most industries. For older men, the issue becomes sharper. These designs target buyers between 18 and 35. Oversized cases, bold logos, flashy color accents. On a 25-year-old wearing jeans and a jacket, it fits the style language. On a man in his 60s wearing a blazer and dress pants, the mismatch is immediate. It becomes a young impulse aesthetic placed on an older wrist. People sense that contradiction instantly, even if they cannot explain it. Third is the counterfeit luxury watch. This needs to be stated clearly. A fake Rolex Submariner does not make people think you own a Rolex Submariner. It makes people think you tried to appear like someone who does, failed, and chose deception instead. The flaws are obvious to anyone familiar with watches. The Cyclops magnifier is often incorrect, usually around 1.5 times instead of 2.5 times. The seconds hand often ticks once per second instead of sweeping smoothly like a real mechanical movement. Bracelet edges feel rough instead of the finely finished brushing and polishing of authentic Rolex construction. The lume fades quickly and often glows an incorrect color. The weight is off. The crown threading is incorrect. The engraving quality is inconsistent or missing details. But the real issue is not mechanical, it is reputational. By 60, most people have built careers, families, and long-standing reputations. Wearing a cheap counterfeit undermines all of that in seconds. It signals that appearance matters more than honesty, and that deception over something as small as a watch is acceptable. That impression is extremely difficult to undo. If affordability is the issue, a genuine mid-range watch is always better. A $200 Seiko Presage carries far more integrity than a fake Submariner. Fourth is the iced-out crystal watch. Bezels covered in cubic zirconia, dials flooded with reflective stones, surfaces designed to scatter light in every direction. There is a market for this style, heavily influenced by hip-hop culture and celebrity aesthetics. On a 28-year-old rapper in a music video setting, it is intentional and contextually consistent. On a 63-year-old man at a family event like a wedding rehearsal dinner, it reads very differently. It suggests a disconnect from the environment. Physics works against it as well. Aging skin reflects light differently than younger skin. Veins are more visible, texture is thinner, and age spots are more pronounced. When a heavily reflective watch is placed against that backdrop, the contrast intensifies both elements. The watch looks more artificial. The skin looks older. Each exaggerates the other. A well-chosen watch after 60 should support presence, not compete with it. It should be noticed after a handshake, not from across the room. When the watch becomes louder than the person wearing it, it is no longer an accessory, it is a distraction. And nothing communicates insecurity faster than trying to buy attention through crystals. Fifth is wearing an Apple Watch as a formal dress watch. This is the most debated example because the Apple Watch is genuinely one of the most advanced wearable devices ever made. It is excellent for health tracking, communication, fitness, and daily convenience. The issue is not capability. It is context. A rubber or sport band paired with a tailored wool suit creates visual conflict. The rectangular digital display, regardless of internal sophistication, sends a different message than a mechanical dial. Digital technology represents efficiency and utility. A mechanical watch represents tradition, craftsmanship, and permanence. Both are valid, but they are not interchangeable in formal environments. In settings like boardrooms, formal dinners, or charity events, the Apple Watch signals prioritization of function over presentation. That works in a gym or during a run. It becomes out of place when surrounded by mechanical dress watches designed to convey longevity and refinement. After 60, the preference shifts toward objects that suggest permanence rather than devices that require nightly charging and will likely be replaced within a few years. Now, the 5 watches that earn respect. First is the Cartier tank. Louis Cartier designed it in 1917 after observing Renault military tanks on the Western Front during World War I. The rectangular case, Roman numerals, railroad minute track, and blue cabochon crown have remained essentially unchanged for over a century. Not because of trend resistance, but because the design was already correct. Andy Warhol wore a Cartier tank and reportedly said he did not wear it to tell time, but because it was the watch to wear. Jackie Kennedy owned one. Muhammad Ali wore one as well. The watch is under 10 millimeters thick in many versions, allowing it to disappear under a cuff without bulk. On a man over 60, it communicates something simple. Nothing needs to be proven. The Mustang starts around $3,000, while gold versions cost significantly more. Every variation works because the proportions were made for this stage of life. Second is the Rolex Datejust 36 millimeters, not the 41 millimeter version. This distinction is critical. The Datejust debuted in 1945 as the first automatic wristwatch with an instantaneous date change. It was presented to Dwight Eisenhower after the Allied victory in Europe. Ronald Reagan also wore one during his presidency. The 36mm case sits naturally on older wrists in a way the larger model does not. It does not dominate the wrist, it belongs to it. The fluted white gold bezel and Jubilee bracelet create a refined balance of light and texture without excess noise. A silver or white dial completes the composition. The result looks timeless, whether newly purchased or passed down through generations. Retail pricing sits around $9,000, and value retention is historically strong. Third is the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra. It is less immediately recognized than a Datejust, which is part of its appeal. The teak pattern dial is inspired by luxury yacht decking, creating subtle horizontal texture that shifts with light. Inside is the coaxial master chronometer movement, certified to resist magnetic fields up to 15,000 Gauss. Practically, this means it remains accurate even near electronics like laptops, phones, or magnetic clasps. At 40 millimeters, it wears slightly larger than a Datejust but remains balanced due to its slimmer case profile. On leather, it becomes dress-oriented. On steel, it becomes versatile enough for daily wear. At roughly $6,000, it delivers technical performance and finishing that exceed most competitors in its range. Fourth is the Grand Seiko Spring Drive Snowflake. Grand Seiko is often overlooked outside collector circles, which is exactly why it stands out. The SBGA 211 features a textured white dial inspired by snowfields visible from the Shinshu studio in Japan. The spring drive movement combines mechanical energy with electronic regulation, producing a second's hand that moves in a perfectly smooth glide without ticking. The case finishing uses Zaratsu polishing, creating distortion-free mirror surfaces achieved through manual techniques. The result cannot be fully understood in photos. It requires natural light. At about $5,700, it is among the most refined watches available at any price level. On a man over 60, it signals deep appreciation for craftsmanship without needing recognition from others. Fifth is the Tudor Black Bay 36. Tudor is owned by the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, the same entity behind Rolex. Many components are produced alongside Rolex parts, and quality standards are closely aligned. The Black Bay 36 is a clean, time-only stainless steel watch with a sapphire crystal and brushed finishing. No complications, no excess features, just a well-built instrument. The black dial on a leather strap offers maximum versatility. It works with formal wear, casual clothing, and everything in between. At under $3,000, it represents one of the most accessible entry points into genuine Swiss horology without relying on fashion branding or imitation design. Across all 5 recommended watches, the pattern is consistent. Moderate sizing, clean design, durable movements meant to last decades. No loud branding, no unnecessary flash, no attempt to impress through volume. After 60, a watch should reinforce what people already sense: judgment, restraint, and experience. The 5 avoid list watches do the opposite. They are loud when they should be controlled, reactive when they should be confident, and expressive in ways that undermine credibility. And the one thing no man at that stage should project from his wrist is insecurity.